Alright, I just opened up the inside of the computer. The first major thing I can see that is wrong is that only one of these connectors that holds the CPU fan onto the CPU is connected. Now these are popped in and locked in place, so they should never come out. The graphics card, as you can see here, is not straight. It should be straight just like this is. A bunch of the, I don't know if you can see them, but a bunch of the connectors on the motherboard right there are all bent out of shape. The connections for the motherboard are off. The motherboard itself, those are the connectors right there that are supposed to stick out the back of the computer. Those are not in place. And the power supply back here where it's screwed into the back of the computer, you can see the damage there, there, and there. This one is even a little bit damaged and bent, but they should all look like this, sticking out the back of the computer. They are not that way. This is where the connector ports are supposed to be. They're obviously not in the right place. The motherboard, which should be screwed in to these, I don't know if you can see them, these little holes right up here, should have 8 screws in it. I can only see 1 screw that is in place currently. So none of those are where they're supposed to be. Oh, here is one of the connectors for the CPU fan. Here, let me back out so you guys can see. Getting that untangled. These connectors are supposed to be straight down like that. They have been smashed and ripped to pieces. The SATA cables have been ripped out of place. This kind of damage, this is a steel case. These screws are going into steel, through a steel plate, into the steel power supply. The only way that this kind of damage could have happened is if it took a significant fall. Pulled out the CPU fan. As you can see, only one of the screws that holds the connector plates in place is in place. The other side is completely gone. That is what's over here. But these are also broken off, which they should never be. They should be more straight like that one is and not broken off. So those are completely destroyed. The graphics card is bolted into the case right there, and the motherboard tilted. The connections here for the graphics card are bent out of shape, and the connections down here where it connects into here are bent out of shape. Pulled out the power supply. I don't know how well you can see it, but that's one of the screw holes. They are completely stripped. Even these ones, that one's dented right there. That one seems to be in okay shape. But this power supply can never be properly anchored back into a case, so it is no longer safe to use. There's also significant scuffing and damage to the rest of it, so that will also need to be replaced. That is one of the sticks of RAM that clips in right here. These come up and they clip and they lock in place. It actually takes significant force, so for that to be popped out, have it fall behind there and get wedged down there is quite a feat and would take a lot of force. Here is the motherboard, or the graphics card connection to the motherboard. Those are the screw holes. Those are way bent out of shape. They should close pretty tightly around that. And because they're so far out of shape, they really aren't useful for holding this graphics card in place where it needs to be anymore. So it is no longer safe to use in a computer. Motherboard with nothing else on it. The only screws that are left attached are this one here and this one here. We placed 8 screws into the various other screw holes in this motherboard to secure it before we mailed it. Back side of the motherboard, it shows significant impact with the case. Scuff marks here, 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 and up here. There, there, and there. This thing should be held in place on these razor bolts. You see, these are raised above the side of the case, so that the motherboard never comes in contact with the side of the PC case. Blu-ray drive has little pieces of plastic here at the connectors that have been ripped out of place, if I can get it to focus well enough. This connector is now damaged and will have to be replaced.